Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a how-to on how to turn tips from improvisation into tips that can help you in interviews. So I was on my high school's improvisation team for 4 years. I started as a freshman and went all the way through. I brought my t-shirt just as proof of my evidence that I was on the team. This was Grace. And then the HIT squad, which was Hillsdale Improvisational Theater Squad. So on my improv team, I first of all had just an incredible time as a member of the team, but I was also able to learn some super crucial stuff about how to better present myself and how to conduct myself in interviews. And I found, thinking about what I wanted to do for this presentation, that it would be so cool to talk about the things that I've connected, just going through a bunch of interviews as a person and doing improv as a student. So, first I want to talk to you about improv, just super quickly, an introduction. So it's a form of theater, but there are no scripts and there are no preconceived notions of what's going to happen in the show. There are formats, and there are games that you can play, or you can do short form, which is called sometimes theater sports, where there are games that you play in teams. There's also a form called long form, which is it almost is a play, but it's all scenes that are improvised, which means you might get a suggestion, and then you go off that suggestion, and that's all that you know about what you're going to be performing. So it's really fun for the audience, and it's really fun for the performers, because they have no idea what's going to happen between everything. So, the first thing that I'm going to talk about, is the origins of improv. So, this is a photo of the origins of improv. It was first thought to be conceived in northern Italy in the 15th century. This is called Commedia dell'arte troppe on a wagon in Town Square. It's painted by Jean Miel in 1614. They had stock characters and a basic plot and set scenario, but they improvised all of the dialogue. So it was kind of exciting for all of the villagers because they had a little bit of an idea what was going on, but it was still a really fresh way to present theater and for the audience to take it in. So those are the origins of improv. So these are the 3 top tricks that connect between improv and giving an interview. So the first one is yes and. The second one is eye contact. And the third is listening. I was trying to find some articles that would help to highlight the collaboration between these 2 things. And in one article from HR Magazine, it's titled The Art of the Interview, they noted that sometimes off-the-wall questions can be useful because this technique can also illuminate how well a candidate can handle the unexpected. So I really think it's important to understand how these 3 tips can help you in interviews. So first, yes and. So in an article published in Harvard Business Law, one question employers should ask throughout an interview, one of the questions interviewers should have in their head as they're conducting the interview is, who emerges as a natural leader, building on the strengths of others, or changing the flow of dialogue for the better? The idea, yes and, is that you're taking what your scene partner is telling you and you're building on it. One way that coaches explain this to their students is with Legos. We're trying to build a tower, like Legos, that's going to be really firm and steady. So once someone puts forward a suggestion, you want to build exactly on top of that suggestion, right on the foundation that they've established. Because if you start to go a little bit to one side or the other, the tower's going to topple over. So we want to be really specific. If someone gives you a name, and then you give yourself a different name, it's confusing to the audience, it's confusing to your fellow improviser, and overall it just creates a really weird scene. And it's kind of the same in interviews as we saw in that Harvard Business Law article. You want to be able to build off of the ideas of other people in the room, especially in a group interview. And you want to be able to listen and establish that you're paying attention to what your interviewer is telling you. So next is eye contact. The Journal of Commerce and Management Thought referenced in an article the importance of maintaining solid eye contact while not being too intense in your gaze. So we're going to do a really quick exercise that my team did in a bigger form of this. Really quick, find a partner, just do it, find a partner in the room. 10 seconds, hold eye contact with that person, go. Don't break it. Don't break it. Try not to laugh. 5 more seconds. And good. Okay. So in my team, we would do exercises like that for 2 minutes. And you weren't supposed to break eye contact. And every 30 seconds, you'd do a step closer to each other until you were like right up against the other person. And you were just staring into their eyes. And it was because it was super important to be able to talk to another person and maintain eye contact, because it shows your partner that you're listening, and it also demonstrates that you're paying attention to what's going on in the scene, right? And it's the same in an interview. You really want to make sure that your employer understands that you're paying attention, and you don't want to freak them out by intently staring at them like what we just did. But it's a variation of that, and it's super crucial. So it's part of it. So listening. There's an article in a nurse management journal, and it was talking about how to get the most out of interviews for candidates. And it remarked, these behavioral interview questions prompt candidates to give in-depth responses, providing specific information on how situations were handled. So even though that's about nursing, it still applies to interviews in that when you bring back something that your interviewer talked about, it demonstrates your ability to listen, and it demonstrates how much you're paying attention and you really want the job, and you can bring back examples that are really cool parts that might help you in your interview. So there's 3 main ways that I help myself listen, and I know that other improvisers use this as well. Watch the person. Sometimes it's actually helpful to literally watch them form words with their lips. It helps you to stay focused in the moment. You can also repeat important words in your head. I struggle with names a lot, so if someone endows a name, I'll go like, Marissa, 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 in my head, of course. But it helps to help you remember really important information. And finally, be present. Some people have really random ways that they help themselves focus, like staring at a spot on their forehead. Find the way that you can help yourself focus, and it'll really help you in an interview. So these are just the reminder of the top 3 things we talked about. Yes, and eye contact and listening. And I guarantee if you try and hone these skills, you'll find that you're much more confident in interviews, and if you ever have a chance to do improv, you'll also feel more confident in that arena as well. Thank you.